There's a saying, money changes everything, a proverb proven to be true during a presidential election. As the money keeps coming in for candidates, we're taking a deeper look at the price of politics, specifically how money plays a role in politics. Despite losing to former President Donald Trump in the New Hampshire primary yesterday, Nikki Haley says the race is far from over, and her donors agree, and they appear to be pleased that it's now a two-person contest for the Republican nomination. After last night's results, some of Haley's donors said they're in it for the long haul and are confident she'll have the necessary resources to secure the nomination. As the second state to vote, Trump and Haley made quite the investment in New Hampshire. However, Haley spent almost twice as much as the former president, spending nearly $30 million in ads. Haley's campaign raised over $24 million in Q4 of 2023, and big endorsements and support from major donors has helped give her campaign a boost. Last year, the Koch network pledged its support for the former South Carolina governor. LinkedIn's billionaire co-founder Reid Hoffman also gave $250,000 to her campaign.
Let's bring in Dan McMillan. He is the founder of Save Democracy in America, a nonpartisan organization that focuses on the big money in politics. Dan, thanks for taking the time to be here. Nikki Haley says she will fight on. The truth is, though, she has yet to beat Donald Trump. She is behind in the polls. How difficult is it to continue to raise money and keep your campaign going when you're not winning?
Well, you know, the fact that she's been able to raise so much money so far, despite her poll numbers at the national level barely having budged for months, and still at the national average is only 12% versus Donald Trump's 68%, that testifies to the desperation of the donor class and the willingness of the establishment, really, on both sides of the aisle to engage in magical thinking. They're all desperate to stop Trump. And yet, even 7 years after he defeated Clinton in 2016, it seems that none of the establishment on either side of the aisle has any idea why people support Donald Trump. Their only analysis is that Trump supporters are stupid, they've been duped. Until they dig a little deeper and question their own assumptions, they're not going to have a chance against a candidate like Trump.
And Dan, her donors, including the Americans for Prosperity Super PAC, which is backed by the Koch network, said last night they're in it for the long haul. You know, got to ask, where is her money coming from, and what kind of donors is she attracting?
Well, it's big. You know, it's big business. I think it's from every sort of corporate sector. You could call it the U.S. Chamber of Commerce wing of the Republican Party. The Koch brothers. It's interesting, too, the Koch brothers is a secretive donor network. Most of the people who belong to it are not identified. A fair amount of this money, I can't tell you exactly how much specifically with regard to Haley, but of course, a lot of the big donor money is dark money. It's given to organizations, 501c4s, that don't have to disclose their donors. They spend money supposedly independent of the campaigns to help them. So as far as possible, they tried to hide the fact that, you know, Haley is essentially a hired gun for these corporate donors, which I think, no surprise, surprise, is why the voters are rejecting her.
And for the Trump campaign, last night you could feel the frustration that Donald Trump had that Nikki Haley was not dropping out of this race. He increased the rhetoric today on his social media platforms, attacking her. Financially for his campaign, what does it mean for them that Haley is still in this race?
Well, it may slow his big ticket fundraising for a while, although I wouldn't be surprised if it juiced his small dollar fundraising. But effectively, the race is over. And once the final nail's in the coffin for Haley, and it's clear, and she concedes, and it's clear that he's the Republican nominee, then all those big donors who've been fighting him are nonetheless going to fall in line because they'd rather have him than a Democrat.
We know Nikki Haley has vowed to stay in the race until the South Carolina primary. With DeSantis dropping out this past Sunday, making it this two-person race, who are his supporters likely to rally behind in terms of money and resources, Dan?
Well, I think his donors are more like, that's interesting. His donors are probably already migrated to Haley because, again, he's also someone with huge corporate backing. His supporters, my guess is as good as yours, although he himself endorsed Trump. He's done his best to throw his support to Trump. So I tend to think that that's where they're going to go. But in any case, it strikes me as academic. It seems to me that this race is over. Why Haley seems to think otherwise is baffling to me. As far as in my opinion, this race was over as soon as we saw last year that Trump's indictments helped him politically rather than hurt him. Once it became clear that the indictments were not going to have some kind of devastating impact, I think that all the people running against him were on borrowed time.
Yeah, Haley has been trying to convey that sense of confidence, but the results, the numbers prove otherwise.
Not there yet.
Yeah. Dan McMillan, founder of Save Democracy in America. Dan, thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.